And a good evening and a happy 420 to those out there. As the saying goes, it's always 420 somewhere, and right now it's 420 in New York, Cancun, Panama, Miami. It's 420 in some great places. Right here in Ireland, it's 9:20, but we're gonna treat it like it's 420. Just about to pack up a bowl. Actually, where did I put my grinder? I found her. Ah, yes, Mal's Chronics. Oh no, sorry, it's Barry says, guess what's for dinner? We're having herbs over here anyway, late night snack. Barry and the beans and toast again, boy. Or sorry, no, you were fancy out, but I was at beans and a few slices of spuds. What were they? Fried potatoes, is it? Look tasty. I'm not bashing the beans at all. Anyway, like I'm definitely a lover of the old beans and toast. Like you can't beat beans and toast really with a nice crispy toast, but soaked in butter as well at the same time. Yes. Oh lordy, you got me hungry for beans and toast now, Barry. Oh, welcome everybody. Just quickly gonna pack up a bowl here. We got some grinded actually already. Good lord, this black velvet that I have at the moment, I don't have a nug of it here in my hand. I might pop some up on the screen there in a minute, via photo. But good lord, the flour is just purple. It's crazy. You kind of grind into it, you get a little bit of green inside, but to be fair, like when I grind up the bud, it's like a good 60-70% purple, like flour material. It's crazy. The shade that's in it. It's really nice to see, and it's really cool when it's side by side then with some green flowers, some proper green. Oh, that's gonna be in the way if I leave it up there. Like at the moment there now we have some quicks in the grinder, just a little bit of quicks, a full bud in the grinder next to this bloody black velvet, and it's crazy just to see the contrast between the two, like the purple versus the green. It's just mad. This is why another one, just that one other reason why we need to have cannabis legal, so we can fully, truly, and fully enjoy, all that this plant actually has to offer to us, because it does. It has so much yet to offer to us that we can't fully actually realize until we see prohibition ended here. Not just here, but all over the world. Obviously we're going to start at home, focus on home first, get it legal, regulated here in Ireland, and then continue on, end this madness across the rest of the globe. Because if we don't kind of look outside of Ireland also, then what we're going to see possibly is like what's happening, like the likes of California, where the criminals moved a lot of their production to the places like California, where growing was like a misdemeanor and stuff like that. We won't want to see gangs from within Europe coming to Ireland to grow here and export it out of here. Although that's very unlikely as well, because we've got that body of water around us. We're a big island, so it's very unlikely that that's going to happen. As California, it's much easier to transport stuff out of there, and also the fact that Germany, Holland, Spain, Portugal, all much better places to actually grow and export from. So maybe that's a bit far fetched. The gangs moving in here, but you know what I mean. Big shout out to everybody in the hot box. Keep those comments coming in anyway, everybody. Get your shout outs in, and we'll give shout outs in a sec. First though, it is 4:24 out there in other places, so you know what that is 4:20 is for. I'm gonna use a good lighter here now, because that other lighter that I have there puts out only a tiny little flame. So here we go. Torch of freedom. Tool of civil disobedience. Let's engage in a little bit of civil disobedience on here with you beautiful people out there. And that black velvet as well is it's only getting tastier, to be fair. Started consuming it not long after it was actually just put into a jar, so it was fresh enough. But Jesus, in the jar now about almost 2 weeks, and can really, really get that flavour developing now. Excuse me. Oh, wait. So Barry is out there anyway, as we said. What's happening, Bobby? Mal's Chronic is in the hot box. Brendan, what's happening, Brendan, up there in Waterford? Who else is out there? We got Friendly Grower. What's happening, Friendly Grower? Warp Addict is in the hot box. What's happening, Warp Addict? My dog is in there. Mark, what's happening, my man? 420 Toker, what's happening, 420? My dog says, cheers, Martin. Good to see you're not locked up yet. Yet. But if you do, it would be absolutely amazing if you continue with the podcast from jail. You know it can be done. It certainly can. That's very true. I've actually had preparations in place a long time ago, actually. So I genuinely, like you're saying, like, yet, I genuinely thought a long time ago when I started this that it was very likely that I was going to end up in prison for some of what I was doing, the civil disobedience, the public display of me breaking the law. But here I am almost 4 years later. It's crazy, and I'm still not in prison. But I did make those arrangements. I'd said it to my partner. I'd said it to a few other people that I'll have phone calls from prison. And I'd be hoping that those people that will take my phone call will record my phone call and upload those phone calls then online to the podcast so I could continue the podcast from behind bars. They weren't going to take my voice away from me anyway. That was the intention, I was going to not allow them to take my voice away. I would continue shouting, from the rooftops, but from behind bars. Oh, excuse me. But yeah, those plans are still in place anyway, should that happen. Please God it doesn't, because kind of getting very used to being free. Don't know, am I as prepared as before to go to prison? Who knows? Mark Annie says porridge hotbox style. Smoking some sun-grown goji OG. It's delicious, says Mal's Chronic. It does sound nice, actually, to be fair. Like sun-grown, there's an interesting one. I was only put up a post there towards Luke Ming the other day. Luke Ming Flanagan. I'll get his thing up there actually on X just for the crack. He put up a post there the other day up in his account. I don't know if people are following him over on X, but it was a picture of his plant that he's grown indoors over in, where is he? Is he in Belgium or something like that? But he had a plant up there, and it's a fine old plant as well. He was giving out about the fact that it doesn't seem to realise that it's dead in the middle of the winter. Geez, he shares a lot of stuff. He does. There it is. So we'll pop this up on screen there now for you all to see out there. But yeah, he actually retweeted my retweet of his tweet. Or they're just called posts now. They're not tweets anymore. I suppose Twitter is gone. But Luke was saying one of the girls refusing to accept that it's winter. Don't know how to break it to her. Chop chop. And you can see here, it's a fine looking lady, but she's definitely not mature at all. I'm trying to zoom in on this photo, but it actually won't let me. It keeps resizing itself. Open a new tab. There we go. But yeah, absolutely, it's a stunning looking plant, in fairness to him. But as you can see, she's middle aged. She's not fully mature yet at all. But a fine specimen, to be fair. I would love to know what it is, actually. I don't know, does he share in the post actually what it is, what strain? Didn't actually get into the comments there that he was sharing. But obviously you might be able to read my post there. I was asking, can anyone tell me why growing this plant is actually a crime? Highlighting the fact that the Irish state has spent billions on the war on drugs, and asking what has got us? Absolutely nothing has it. And more people consume drugs than ever before, and the only way I see in this being the only way I've seen this being done with harm reduction in mind is hashtag regulation and education. So yeah, that's Luke McFlanagan's plant there. He's grown indoors, but yeah, just to bring it back to why I went off on this is talking about sun grown. I kind of got a comment underneath this post by him, and I was highlighting the fact that it's not going to be very long before here in Ireland we're going to be able to grow this plant ourselves. Not long more to go before cannabis consumers in Ireland can legally grow their own. And I just expressed there my wishes, hoping that this change is done before springtime getting there, so we can make the most of the sun outside and reduce growers' reliance on power-hungry lights indoors. So that's my hope. I hope that the next incoming government, which I think the date for them to return is going to be December 6th. So fingers crossed, bowls being offered up here, blazing it to the higher powers, that they do realise that cannabis prohibition is an absolute waste of time, waste of resources, guards' time, money within the justice system, absolute waste of time, and a missed opportunity as well when it comes to bringing in some taxes there off of the sale of cannabis. And that's just one of many drugs we need to end the prohibition of. So yeah, hopefully the government coming in realise that cannabis prohibition needs to end and do so before springtime gets here. And springtime in Ireland, it doesn't really arrive in February, to be fair. I'll give them until March. Like in the middle of March, yeah, around the start of March, we kind of start to get the nice sunshine, temperatures start to increase just that little bit more, where you'll be kind of happy to be able to stick a few ladies outdoors. Friendly grower knows what I'm talking about. Legend out there testing the limits of different genetics within the Irish climate. Fair play to that man, and he's I would just say he's desire to explore the the science. Yeah, that's it. It's for scientific researches. Isn't that what it's for, Friendly? Wow. But yeah, sorry for going off there on a couple of rants about different bits and pieces. I do have a bit of news lined up for you today, obviously, being on the 420 news, and being election time as well. We've an election here in Ireland, as we've talked about. The 29th of December is polling day, so between now and then, politicians are going to be going out there door to door. And it seems already that drug policy reform has become an election issue. And that's great. It was very much expected given the last few months. We had the publication of the Citizens Assembly report, the Oireachtas reports, in the past there, the Justice Committee report there. So there was a lot of push there, a lot of momentum towards drug policy reform. So it's no surprise, as I said, that it's an election issue, and different parties are now after kind of giving a clear indication as to what their position is when it comes to drug policy reform and the different facets of that. So we might get started there, so on that, will we? Or yeah, we'll empty the bowl and we'll get started at the same time. So the bowl is emptied, and we'll pop up on screen for you here. Then we have the Green Party. We'll start with the Green Party. And actually, just before I start with the Green Party, I just have to give a shout out as well to the many amazing people out there campaigning around Ireland for the last number of years on this issue. Because as I was just saying, that we are very, very close now to seeing that change, realised. So fingers crossed that we actually do, but it wouldn't have been possible without the work and the efforts by the many people who've campaigned for it over the years. So to all those people, if I can take a bow, here's a jeez, I'm terrible with that button. There we go. That's an applause for all the wonderful people out there doing their piece. And the Crown team were out there this weekend, educating the people up around Dublin. And I think it's an important job that campaigners have been doing over the years, because an educated voter is a voter that drives change. If we don't have educated voters here, we're never going to see change. So the tireless work of campaigners out there, many of them out there again this week, educating people, interacting on the streets, handing out flyers. As you can see here, the different pamphlets being handed out. Cannabis information pamphlet. It says Crown is a voluntary community organisation that seeks to give the public and policymakers sensible drug policy solutions. God damn, I miss being a member of Students for Sensible Drug Policy. But anyhow, Ireland's cannabis law is currently a global outliner as the rest of the world begins to reform their policies. If we act quickly, Ireland can be placed well to become a European leader in cannabis and hemp farming. Crown meets with ministers, TDs and public health officials regularly, and we have presented to the Oireachtas and Citizens' Assembly. So again, to the campaigners out there, and to the Crown members, well done guys, great work. Without all of that work, none of this change is going to be possible. So there you can see just another photo of the pamphlet there with the Crown team's high-vis vest. Very professional lads and ladies. So yeah, just wanted to take a second there to give give that nod of appreciation to the different campaigners who have been working tirelessly over the years. Many different groups have come and gone. For me, it would have started with what was it again? Cannabis Legalisation Ireland, but no, it wasn't. Legalised Cannabis Ireland, LCA. The Legalised Cannabis Association. Jeez, I can't even remember what the group was. Legalised Cannabis Ireland anyway. The LCI, I think it was. Sorry, jeez, getting caught up there. I've been adding cream to this tea, and it's probably making me a bit more phlegmy. But it's delicious. Double cream, bit of tea, game changer. But yeah, if Grams is out there, Grams will be able to enlighten me as to the names of those earlier groups that would have been fighting for cannabis legalisation here in Ireland. As I said there in an earlier show, in another 2 years, I'll be 20 years at this campaign, and started it when I was just not long on 17. Not long before I was turning 18, actually. Apologies. So a long time at it. LCI was probably one of the groups. Students for Sensible Drug Policy was another. The Cannabis Activist Alliance being another. Many other groups, major group for cannabis reform out there. Apologies if I forget any. I blame the epilepsy. Emerald Labs, what's happening? Says Stormy Martin, hope all's well with your brother. All's good here, my man. All is good here. No complaints. Right, let's get cracking. Green Party. Boom, there we go. So the Green Party published this little piece, which was shared by another campaigner for drug policy reform out there, Cian Conahor, who's a lecturer, criminal law and policing and criminology above there in Maynooth University. Or is it in Trinity now? I'm not too sure. I think it says Maynooth here anyway, but I thought he was introduced as a lecturer within Trinity, but I blame the epilepsy if I got that wrong too. So the Green Party, their General Election 24 manifesto implements the Oireachtas Joint Committee on Drug Use recommendations, decriminalising possession of all drugs. The second published manifesto to do so, in brackets there if you ignore Fianna Fáil's spin doctor, and it also calls for legalising cannabis. So a great step if it's actually to be followed up on, if they hold true to their promise, because they made this promise previously, and they got into bed with Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael in the previous government, and they just removed this from their election promises, completely turned their back on us once before. I'd be very slow to trust them again, but like if let's say for example Fine Gael now, who at the moment their position is not very good towards drug policy here, I'm just going to change this. Boom, that looks a bit better. But Fine Gael, whose position isn't very favourable towards drug policy reform, if the Green Party and Fine Gael were able to, given their numbers after the election happens, form a majority in government, who's to say that this wouldn't be taken off the table again by the Green Party like they did before, in order to get into bed with the government, if you will, Fine Gael this time. Fianna Fáil have expressed, the support for drug policy reform, but it seems to be a bit held back, very prohibition-y, kind of, they say health-led. They're health-led, I believe it includes mandatory, these health interventions, education, treatment and stuff like that for being caught in possession. It's not exactly decriminalised. They say, like, you can be in possession of drugs and not be treated like a criminal as such. If you're being forced into education, forced into drug treatment, that's still on par with being criminalised. But the Green Party's recommendations here, it says we support the decriminalisation of all drug users and the legalisation and regulation of cannabis. Fair play. To deliver on the operational recommendations of the Citizens' Assembly on drug use, we will pursue a health-led approach to drugs policy, retain a dedicated cabinet committee chaired by the Taoiseach to ensure a whole of government response. That's engaging with drug users and stakeholders in policy design and implementation. Now that's an important one. If they're actually to follow through on that, if they're to actually engage with drug users, that would mean proper policy to be implemented if they're to take on board recommendations by drug users. Let's say, for example, us as cannabis consumers out there, there's no one better who can engage with policymakers to help them, to design a policy that would reflect the needs and desires of consumers, while at the same time keeping in mind, harm reduction and all of that stuff as well. So that's a good thing. Prioritize disadvantaged communities and prisoners in drug policy. That's an important one to me. The second part of that, not against disadvantaged communities, but I just do believe prisoners. Maybe they're a part of that disadvantaged community label, but prisoners in particular, I believe they're very much excluded from any conversations on drug policy that I've heard happening. They talk about legalising cannabis. Well, for example, when it comes to that, I would like to see conversation had now on freeing all prisoners in prison relating to crimes involving cannabis, and I would include sale and supply in that. And I would love to know what number that of prisoners that would actually remove from our prisons. And that's before you extend it, to say the Section 3 Misuse of Drugs Act, prisoners' personal possession of drugs. What number of prisoners would you remove there? So certainly a conversation needs to be had on prisoners and drug policy reform. Focus on harm reduction by introducing drug checking facilities at festivals and providing for safe consumption rooms. Again, this is a shortcoming in their promises. Focus on harm reduction, and I believe what they should have said there is by the regulation, or by exploring ways in which regulation of drugs, different drugs, is possible in order to reduce harm, in order to avoid having to put in place these drug checking facilities. Drug checking should be done by the producers of those drugs, and those producers of those drugs should be required to do so by regulations. Say what you will about the different drugs, but under prohibition, it's just no bueno. It's not good. So we need to sort that out. If we were to regulate the drug supply, then there is no need for drug checking facilities. It was interesting. I had a conversation with PJ Coogan on 96 FM the other day. You get that piece up there on my X account. I believe their podcast is available online on the 96 FM page. But I found myself arguing for not only legalised and regulated cocaine supply, but a cheap, safe, legal, regulated cocaine supply. And my argument was basically, prohibition is not working. That's got to be better than prohibition. Prohibition is leaving it in the hands of the criminals. It's making the price just explode beyond what it actually is worth. So if we were to regulate it, legalise it, educate the consumers, again, that's another very important thing when it comes to drug policy reform. Education needs to be key. It's key in reducing harm from different drugs. I believe that's why we've reduced harm from alcohol, from tobacco, is campaigns of education. Taxes, yeah, they annoy people, but all they really do is just drive people to a black market. I've never seen and heard of so much tobacco being illegally sold around Ireland, and I don't even consume tobacco, and I hear about illegal tobacco being sold tobacco that's illegally brought into the country because they haven't paid taxes on it to beyond what they're allowed actually bring in. And people are doing that. And I hear more about that being done than I do about people buying and selling cannabis. That's crazy, I hear more about black market tobacco these days than I do about black market cannabis. Most of the cannabis I hear about these days is actually traded between growers. Growers helping out others in need, and that being making up most of the what I hear about the supply of cannabis these days. Black market cannabis, don't hear much about it myself personally. It's definitely going on out there. It's huge, but I personally hear more about tobacco these days. It's crazy. So there's the Green Party's position on drug policy reform. It's okay. It has its pluses, has its minuses. Overall, it's good. But will they actually uphold that promise? Who knows? They've betrayed us once before. I actually don't know who's the Green Party candidate in my area. It used to be Oliver Moran, a nice guy, and in fairness, he was very supportive in the past on drug policy reform, on cannabis legalisation in particular. He showed up, excuse me, he showed up in a number of protests we organised in the city. Oliver Moran, Green Party member. So I'll give credit where it's due. The individuals within the party can be good, but ultimately when it comes down to the party has the final say. The individual, they have their voice within the party, but ultimately the party quietens them then after that with their manifestos. So I don't know who's running in Cork North Central for the Green Party. As I say, it used to be Oliver Moran, and I don't know who it is now. So that's the Green Parties. Who shall we pop up next? I do believe we have a look at Sinn Féin's. Yeah, let's have a quick look over there at Sinn Féin's position on it. So again, it's going to be Cian O'Connor who's going to be helping us break this one down. Get over to the other view, actually. It looks a bit better on this, doesn't it? Before we go any further and read this, actually, what are you all saying out there in the hot box? Friendly grower up there says, I'm not sure why I think it's from Royal Queen Seeds. I'm a certified retard, so I could be completely wrong. Lovely. Friendly grower says, yeah, on GMO this evening. I should have went back a little further just to catch up on what you were on about there. Yes. Mark Anthony says, sweet, one of those vets as well, friendly, or certs. This country is the best country to grow outdoors, then back indoors and outdoors again. and that's based on your scientific research, yeah? Good man, good man. Miles Chronic says, finished the bowl, lad. Oh, jeez, Miles, good man. Good man. Jeez, I packed this one a good while ago, didn't I? I'm murder for doing that, like. I'd be at home, like, making dinner or something like that, and just be getting the dinner started, might be peeling the spuds or something. I'd be like, I'll have a bowl, pack up a bowl, get it ready, and next I might start just doing something else, and before I know it, I'm peeling the poppies, peeling the carrots, the turnip, getting it in the steamer, and then when I'm getting it into the steamer, I might realise, as I'm opening the fan, the hood, the extractor fan, oh, the bong is there, I packed that about a half hour ago, oh shit. Yeah. Karina says Thomas Gould is for Sinn Féin. Is that who's getting your number one, love? Up there. Right, Miles Chronic, this one is for you anyway. Oh, the last there now of that black velvet that I had grinded up. Get a bit of the quicks in there next. Miles Chronic says no bothers growing outdoors here, especially under glass or in tunnels. I actually had to go. I popped a poly tunnel up. Was it during COVID actually? Obviously, people had a bit of extra time in their hands, and I built a greenhouse out the back garden, a poly tunnel. Good experience. really enjoy building it. But inside it, then I managed to grow a big old cannabis plant, and she was a massive lady, in fairness, and it was probably one of the best ones I finished up outdoors. But given the Irish weather, as it got towards when it was finishing, bud rot and stuff like that was a bit of an issue, ventilation and stuff, as it was planted in the ground in there as well. So we took her down a bit early, and I think we made a bit of extract from it. But yeah, growing outdoors, autos. If I was doing it here in Ireland, autos would definitely be for outdoors for me anyway, personally. Maybe a longer growing auto, an auto that grows for like 14 weeks, 16 weeks, or something like that. Rather than some of the ones that are there now at the moment, like 10 and 12 weeks. Autos would definitely be the way to go outdoors. I don't know what's happening. Since I was in London visiting my brother recently, the variety, quality, and the price of bud is night and day difference to what I can get in Cork. We're being fleeced, or at least I am. Shit, sorry to hear that, my man. It's ridiculous, the price that people are paying here for it compared to what they're getting it in other places. But it is what it is, unfortunately. My advice to anybody out there, who feels like they're being fleeced, if you have a little bit of space, definitely explore the potential to turn that space into a grow space. One plant in a little corner, it could be all you need really to keep yourself in supply and not needing to lean on the bloody black market so much. And again, it gives you an opportunity to get into the growers community here in Ireland. As I say, there's a great growers community kind of building up. People are getting a bit more, I would just say, like less afraid of coming out of the closet. Pun definitely not intended there. Kind of just happened naturally, much like the plants that you could grow yourself. But yeah, there's a great growers community here in Ireland, starting to blossom, and yeah, it'd be great if more people continued to join that and help it grow. Jeez, loads of puns there. I'm gonna stop now before Karina gets back on here telling me shut up. Laughing at your own jokes again, Martin, she'll say. I know her all too well. But yeah, Mad Dog says I live in Teesside Northeast. Some same sort of price here, but I don't have to buy. But when I run out, at least once or twice a year. And Bobby says you fellas are growing some dank. Yeah, Bobby's a member of the group there over on Telegram. He's also living over in New York, and from time to time, the growers get to share pictures of their harvest, their buds. And Bobby has been very impressed by some of what's been produced by the Irish growers. So hopefully someday, once it's legal here, we'll be able to give the boys across the ocean there in America a run for their money. We'll have a big grow off. Ireland, Canada, America, and all the rest of the world. Who's got the dankest dank? But anyway, guys, let's get back on track. We've some political fucking manifestos to cover, covering their drug policy. So the next one, as I said, we've lined up here is Sinn Féin. So this is welcome to see from Sinn Féin, says Cian. He says Fine Gael will now likely sit alone alongside the far right in the Oireachtas in repudiating the recommendations of the Citizens' Assembly and Joint Oireachtas Committee. Harris has screwed over Fine Gael's people who've worked on this. And that's in reference to Simon Harris, whose comments recently have completely dashed any hopes of drug policy reform if the Fine Gael party were to retain some form of power. So David Cullinane here, he put up a post over on his X page, and he was questioned actually. So we'll get over there to David Cullinane's post. He put up a post there saying that he loved elections, get to meet a lot of people out there and stuff, he was saying. And he says, after 100 years of Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael, we have a crisis in housing, health, and in the cost of living. If you want to change it, he says, vote for Sinn Féin. That's not me endorsing Sinn Féin, that's just me highlighting the fact that that's what his post was about. And then this guy, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, he asks, as someone who's lobbied for the health brief, what's your take on the Oireachtas drug report recommendations repeating the recommendations of the Citizens' Assembly on immediate decriminalisation and the legalisation and regulation of the cannabis industry. And in fairness to David, I know it's election time now and everything, and they're going to be a lot more likely to respond now. But in fairness to him, he responded to that question. He could have dodged it. But he says Sinn Féin supports all the recommendations from the Citizens' Assembly, and we will reconstitute a special Oireachtas committee to allow it complete its work and see full implementation, including ending the criminalisation of addiction. So that's promising to hear. Again, it's not fully what you want to hear as such. The Citizens' Assembly, it didn't go far enough. I believe it was like what did I say, a comprehensive health lead. So that was being interpreted to include like it was decrim, but it was these fucking education and treatment, mandatory education and treatment if you're caught in possession. So it wasn't proper, but the Oireachtas report afterwards, it really strengthened the recommendations then of the Citizens' Assembly, going a lot further and calling for the repeal of the Section 3. So the Sinn Féin, David Conlan, it seems, just in that answer, he kind of supports Citizens' Assembly, and he talks about reconstituting the Special Oireachtas Committee, that drug policy where that report came out of. I don't know what exactly that would mean, because you'd have a new government, so you'd have new members of the Oireachtas Committee. Is it a case of they could just start it all over again? Or is it a case of they have to keep the reports and the recommendations there, but they're just going to make them more workable or something? I don't know, but again, he wasn't fully supportive there. I'd have my questions. I'd have more questions there for David. But Keane asks there a good question. He says, will this be in the published manifesto for general election 24? And David answers yes. So let's hope that the manifesto there by Sinn Féin, once it's actually published, I don't know if it's out. It could be out by now. I haven't actually been searching. I prepared for this earlier on today. So I don't know if it's out actually right now. But let's hope when it is out, when I have a look through it, that it does go a little bit further than go a little deeper into what they actually support when it comes to drug policy reform. I hope it's not mandatory education and fucking treatment. I hope it's not just decriminalisation of cannabis, decriminalisation of personal possession of drugs. I hope they go a little bit further than that, i.e., legalisation, regulation of cannabis, mushrooms, I would even say. I would definitely like to see some form of regulation of mushrooms here, or maybe decriminalisation anyway, at least. I shout out to Dana Larson, who runs a really cool cafe over there in Canada. He's got a coca leaf cafe. You know, that's something I would love to see here. They talked there recently about having some late night cafes coming back here to Cork, just to kind of help enhance the nightlife in around the city, breathe a bit of life back into it. What better way to do it than coca leaf cafes? Maybe not people doing magic mushrooms in around the city, but I don't know about that one. Education is key there again when it comes to that. But maybe microdoses, who knows? Who knows? But there we go anyway. As I said, that's Sinn Féin's coverage of it. Excuse me. Adam Harrison got some nice wedding cake for £30 for a 3.5, and got some lovely hash for cheap too. Yeah, £30, what's that, about €35, €40 at most? So you got kind of a 50 bag for 40 quid, 35 quid. Happy fucking days. I'm definitely hearing a bit more of people getting a little bit more. But again, when I'm hearing that, a lot of the time it's actually like growers just being extra sound and looking after people, kind of giving them like 5 grams for 50 quid and stuff like that. So hopefully we see the price of cannabis go down, the availability of it go up, especially locally grown, produced stuff. Dean, what's happening? Dean's after happening there, says grew some out the back tasty. Yeah, it is possible. You can definitely do it here. As I say, if I was to do it myself, autoflowers is the way to go, peeps. Aim for the best months that we get, which is questionable what the best months are. You never know. Geez, the summer this year, we didn't get it until almost September. But definitely from March to September, even maybe into October, are good months that you could definitely get some stuff going. Paul, nice one for the sub there, my man. Legend. Teresa says, let's hope for a new government. Please don't Fine Gael. We demand change. Yeah, Certainly, Teresa, well said. Mad Dog says 8 grams for 50 out my mate. Yeah, you see, that's it. People looking after people out there. 8 grams for 50, that's a good deal. And I'm sure your mate who's possibly maybe grown it, that's more than enough to kind of cover the costs of production there, i.e. the electricity, really, which is probably the biggest cost outside of nutrients and what have you. General maintenance, maybe replacing light bulbs every year or two. But yeah, 50 quid for 8 grams, that's a nice deal. Hey, what's happening, Ferg? See Ferg out there as well, Cork Herbal Products. Right, let's get over there back into the news cycle, and we finish off with Finofoil. So where's Finofoil's coverage here? Finofoil's coverage is going to be put up by Citywide. So pretty much all of this coverage is coming from accounts over on X, where I've been doing a lot of my preparation for the news today, because obviously the news, I wanted to just cover these policies coming out, and I found X to be probably the best place to do it, because the different groups, Crown there, Cian O'Connor, and again Citywide, they've done a pretty good job covering it. So Citywide have a post up here, says there are no benefits to criminalising people who use drugs. It does not deter or decrease drug use. What it does is increase harms and waste resources. Way past time for us to end the moral judgment policy and put in place a policy based on analysis and evidence. Again, it's hard to argue with that, really. There's so much truth to that. Drug policy, the criminalisation of people who use drugs, it's not achieved what it was put in place to achieve, as what they point out here. More people use drugs. It doesn't deter drug use. All it has done has increased harm and waste resources. Again, taking us away from where we could have been if we were had a more progressive policy in place a long time ago. But now is the time to do it, as now is the time for change. We've an election coming, so make sure you vote for change out there, people. Keeping in mind I'm running in Cork North Central, just to remind you. Barry Ward here then, I believe he's a Fine Gael member. Yeah, Fine Gael actually. Fine Gael just a spokesperson. He threw up here, astonished to see, oh yes, that's what it was, astonished to see Fianna Fáil party commit to decriminalise personal possession of all drugs in their manifesto today. Is this a mistake? Can Fianna Fáil clarify if it really intends to include serious, dangerous and highly addictive substances? Highly addictive substances, yeah, hashtag G24. So again, this is more derogatory kind of way in which to view drugs, drug consumers, a misinformed way of looking at it as well. Carol Hart put out a really good book, Drug Use for Adults, I believe it was called. And it highlights this, some of these substances, yeah, they are addictive, but they're not as highly addictive as what they say. They're not as dangerous as what they say. What makes them actually far more dangerous and addictive is the fact that they're got from the black market, the fact that those using them feel cut off from help in society. They don't feel worthy of help because of the way in which maybe they're talked about, stigmatized. There's so many reasons why people actually don't come out of the closet because of about their drug use, and it's because of the stigma, the fear, the shame that might be there around it. I myself, I faced that for many years, the stigma, the fear of speaking out about it. I was like quietly supporting legalization, the protests and stuff. I never really spoke about it to family. I was never out there publicly about that as such. Showed up the protests. I might have helped organise them, but I probably wouldn't have went onto the radio maybe. I was slow to do that at first. It took a bit to overcome. I can't imagine what it would be like to be out there suffering with addiction, with a, on the streets in a homeless situation. Like, we need to change that. We really need to change that. And people like Barry Ward aren't the people who are going to do that. The Fianna Fáil party, as I say as well, their recommendations here, which are up on screen now. It says Fianna Fáil is committed to the idea that drug addiction should be dealt with in a humane and compassionate manner. As a public health issue, over 160 million has been allocated to improve access to and delivery of drug services in the community. We have now published an interactive map of 442 publicly funded services across Ireland and are auditing current services to inform future planning. So a lot of waffle there, really. Like, the first part is probably the more important part there. Fianna Fáil committed to the idea that drug addiction should be dealt with in a humane and compassionate manner as a public health issue. They're committed to it. They're only now committed to it. It's like, what are you doing for the last couple of years? Why is it that the Green Party, when they were having a conversation about forming a government with yourselves and Fine Gael all those years ago, why weren't you committed to it then? The Fianna Fáil party were well aware, as were the Fine Gael party, about the struggles of the people here in Ireland to access medical cannabis, for example. They weren't at all concerned about that when it came to getting the Green Party to take it off the table, and the Fianna Fáil party supported that, considering they went into government and were happy with the Green Party to take it off the table. But anyway, if we return to government, they promise here to continue to develop our health-led response to drug addiction, decriminalise drug possession for personal use, prepare and publish a formal national position on cannabis regulation following engagement with other countries and health professionals, introduce legislation to require those found in possession of illegal drugs for personal use to attend educational or treatment programs. Like, that for me is a big red flag. No, sorry, like that's not needed at all. Like, again, we need to decriminalise and regulate all drugs. And when I say regulate, I don't mean on a street corner you'll be able to walk into a shop and just buy any drug that you want. Let's say poachine, for example. It's not illegal to actually possess poachine, I don't believe, in Ireland. I believe it's just illegal to sell it. Selling poachine is illegal. Possessing it, I don't believe, is illegal. I believe maybe producing it possibly could be illegal, but anyway, that's a different conversation. But to regulate, anyway, that's an important one. Like, there's people out there now at the moment who might be addicted to something like heroin. I definitely think we need to have like, what's the HATS, heroin assistance therapy. We need to have some HAT services here where people addicted to the drugs like heroin are able to be brought into a safe, clean, controlled, regulated environment where they're provided a form of the drug that they need that hasn't supported the illegal crime gang networks that are out there, doing what they're doing to get the drugs to the market at the moment. But anyway, continue to work closely with international bodies in drug policy, including the British Irish Council, the European Union, the New Drugs Agency, and the Council of Europe to ensure strategic alignment of policies on drug use. So, in other words, like, it's just another excuse there if they want in the future to flip-flop on any of their positions here when it comes to what they're promising. And because a lot of these agencies, there'll probably be pressure there to maybe keep certain policies in place because, there's a lot of people there, a lot of jobs maybe relying on that to be there, who knows. But the final promise then, implement a new urban communities initiative focused on city centres and the areas of highest disadvantage, which would bring together all state agencies to implement community development planning schemes for disadvantaged youths and expanded education programmes. What's Barry saying here? Brendan saying here to Barry, actually. Geez, Barry, did you miss the Joint Justice Committee Report 22 to Citizen Assembly 23 and all of the recent work with our Oireachtas committee? We need to start the evidence, following the evidence, we have the highest death rate in the EU. So again, that's Brendan, one of the members there of the Crown team, calling Barry to task. Just his comment there, you probably can't see that properly actually on screen, but there you go. Anyway, that's highlighting the Fianna Fáil position on drug policy for the upcoming election. So should they get into government, they want to see these mandatory health interventions for people caught in possession of illegal drugs, but they do talk about making cannabis legal and regulated. So let's hope, I hope they don't get into government, to be fair. We don't have much fucking hope with Sinn Féin there either, but look, they've not been in power at all in the past. It's been Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael. They've not been good at all. We're in all sorts of crises with them in power. It is a time for vote for change. So the likes of Fine Gael, People for Profit, who else out there? Solid, RT, the Workers' Parties, who else? I'm not going to say N2. Don't really like N2. Probably because of, But anyhow, yeah. There's others out there who need to get in. The Green Party, Sinn Féin and the Greens, possibly. Sinn Féin, the Greens, and certain independents maybe. Maybe would people before profit line up with the Sinn Féin Greens government? Possibly. Who knows? That would be a good thing if they did. People before profit, I suppose they've had some good positions there when it comes to the drug policy, especially when it comes to cannabis. Look, there's no denying that Gino Kenny has really done his part for cannabis legalisation in Ireland to bring in an end to prohibition. So it'll be really interesting what's going to happen here in, what are we going to say, 2 weeks' time? Is it just over 2 weeks' time now? Yeah, Friday, 2 weeks. We're going to have the election here, and we'll kind of see then maybe the account then will be Saturday, isn't it? The count starts on Saturday. So we'll maybe know by the end of Saturday as to what the shape, the makeup of the government is going to be. Oh, big stretch there. Come on, friendly grow up, Cork. So it's good luck, Martin, in the election. Nice and friendly. Appreciate that support. Teresa here saying Senator Lynn Rowan is amazing. RE decriminalisation too, really doing her utmost. And is Lynn running actually? Is she running to be a TD now again, or she's just staying up as a senator, isn't it? I don't believe she's running to be a TD. Miles Chronic says you're fearless, Martin. How you walk down the road with balls that big. Yes. Yeah, nice one, Miles Chronic. Fairness, I was just really pissed off, man. Just couldn't take it anymore. It was wrong. I just couldn't leave that go. And here we are all these years later. It's only saying it to herself, really. If I genuinely thought all those years ago that I would be still here fighting for this all these years later, I might have just gone on the plane and left, headed off, moved over to maybe somewhere like Holland. Maybe Spain, who knows. Hey, what's happening, Steve? Says, hi guys, sorry, just found the stream now. No apologies needed at all, man. Make yourself comfy there, pull up a chair, get close to the fire in the hot box. Stick on the kettle there, friendly grower. Steve has arrived. Irish Geezer says, Fianna Fáil have already watered down that proposal. Decrim for the first time caught with a small amount judicial system after that. You see, that's an absolute joke. An absolute joke. It's obviously they were going to flip flop on it. Look, they've been no friends of the different drug using communities out there for the last couple of decades. They've had a very strong position against the drug using communities out there, and they're really going to have to be dragged kicking and screaming into this. Like Oireachtas Committee, Citizens Assembly, Justice Committees, and they're ignoring it. That's time, money, resources being put into these things, and because the recommendations weren't on par with their prohibitionist rhetoric, they just ignore it. They ignore it, and it's what an insult to the citizens that participated in that Citizens Assembly. It's just a big F you to them. Citizens who took time out of their lives to go up there, participate in that for a number of weeks, only for what? For them to set up the Oireachtas Committee just to kind of see if they could water it down more, but they actually ended up actually refining it and making it better. Friendly saying here, I think independents will do well. Well, Friendly, I'm already after receiving some votes there just for the fact of being an independent. A number of people have said, you're going to get my vote running as an independent anyway. And as I talked to them a little bit more, they were just like, oh geez, blown away by what it is that I spoke to them about, drug policy reform, the work that I've done, my position in life, where I am, father of four, having an honours degree in herbal science, and all the other stuff that I've done in my time. So for all of that, I was getting their number ones anyway, so happy days. Tree is saying, sorry, I'm out west, Martin, otherwise I'd give you the number one. Not a bother at all, just make sure you like, share, spread the word about the fact that I'm going to be running as an independent in Cork North Central, and maybe, with all that, helps get to more people in Cork North Central. Got the list of the registered voters earlier on today, and there is 80,000 registered voters, over 80,000 registered voters in Cork North Central. That's not 80,000 houses. That's going to be 80,000, over 80,000 voters. You could have anywhere from 1 to 10 people living in a house, an address. So the number of houses is probably closer to around maybe 40,000, maybe half of that number, let's say. Just average it out, two people per house. 42,000 houses to knock at, let's say. So it's a challenge, it's a task. It's going to be something I'll probably not be able to do in the time I have to do it. But I'll be giving it my utmost 100%, 110%, 420% to get as many doors knocked down, as many people as Cork North Central reached. And I can do everyone's help out there to do it as well. And just what I'm saying that we've got the Revolut and the PayPal at Martin's World is the tag there for it for anybody out there who want to support in that way. Currently getting flyers printed. Actually, have a big bag of them here now beside me. Got these there earlier today. Double-sided DL flyer. So it's like a third of an A4 page. And I got 2,000 of them for 90 quid. So I got 2,000 just to start off to see how they went. Few changes I'm going to probably make on the next batch that get done. But the 2,000 costs 90 quid. So for every 90 quid that comes in, that's 2,000 flyers printed. And that'll be an amazing support for myself. What's that, 4.5 cent a print? So not bad at all. I'm going to put a €500 deposit down so that I can run in the election. And in order to get that back, I believe I have to get about 3,000 or 4,000 votes, something like that. So that's my aim. If I can do that, that'll be an achievement. And if I can get elected, somebody's gonna have to have an ambulance on standby because I might have a banger. I'll be absolutely shocked. It's a possibility, but so is winning the lotto. This to me, if I was to be elected, it would be beyond winning the lotto. Like it would be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Mad Dog says you should get some more votes this year. Big ups for doing what you're doing. Mad Dog, as I say, my claim to fame in the previous election I ran in, the previous national election, it was a by-election. I got almost 350 votes it was, and I didn't get eliminated until third or fourth count, and I beat an established political party. Mentioned the Workers' Party earlier, and I'm not trying to diss them or anything like that, but I managed to get more votes than their candidate, who had posters up all around the place, who had like people out there helping him, a lot more people than I had out there helping him, given the fact that they're part of a party. And I give a shout out there to Barry, out there in the hot box. Among others, there was a couple of others who came out there and helped out as well, but Barry was definitely one of the top helpers there, getting out canvassing for the last election. So legend, much appreciated. But yeah, sorry if I can. We'll end that rant there. What are you saying in the hot box? Friendly horses, hot box, the ambulance. Will do. Mad Dog says, I remember last year. Well done. Nice one, Mad Dog. Alright, so what shall we what do we have lined up there for you now? So we've covered Sinn Féin, Fianna Fáil. We've talked about Fine Gaels, but to cover Fine Gaels, we jump on over here to the Irish Examiner. So boom, we pop this up there on screen. So Simon Harris, the current Taoiseach in Ireland, the previous Health Minister, I remind you as well, who was an absolute douche when it comes to helping patients access medical cannabis. He's rubbished Fianna Fáil's plans to liberalise drug laws. So the plans that we talked about just a bit earlier, the plans that I covered why they don't go far enough, and Irish Giza talks about how they're already talking about flip-flopping on it, and first time it's mandatory education, second time it's judicial. Well, the boys are dissing it. They're rubbishing it. They're saying that's too far. So, like, that's probably enough said. I probably don't even have to go down into the article really. But well, it says Micheál Martin's party has said that Ireland should follow the approach taken by the countries like Spain, Portugal, and Malta, where legal restrictions on cannabis have been eased. And Taoiseach Simon Harris has rubbish proposals from both Fianna Fáil and the Green Party to liberalise Ireland's drug laws, saying that he is concerned about moving to decriminalising drug taking. Like, come on, are you not concerned about prohibition and what's going on with keeping prohibition in place and what's going to continue to happen? These drug gangs are only getting more dangerous. The drugs, illegal drugs, are actually only getting more dangerous because not because the drug itself is dangerous, but because the contaminants within those drugs are becoming more dangerous. Fianna Fáil's pledged to move to decriminalise drugs like cannabis for personal use, while the Green Party is committed to putting cannabis legalisation on the table, which we covered. However, Fine Gael has pushed back on the plans, with Mr Harris saying he believed there needed to be a health-led approach to addiction, but he disagreed with the moving to decriminalising casual drug taking. He says, do we really want to move to a point in Irish society, really want to move to a point where we're decriminalising drug taking? Not sure, and I certainly don't, said Mr Harris. He said, I do think when it comes to things like drugs and decriminalisation, I think we need to be very careful on these things. Like, come on, were you careful at all when it came to putting in place prohibition? They were not. All they ever thought about back then is the fact that, look, hey, we're in power and we've got like these moral opinions and we're going to put in place these laws to control people based on our morals. It wasn't based on scientific facts or anything like that, and we've seen the outcome of it. So what we need to be careful about is keeping in place any longer prohibition. But anyhow, I'd be very interested to know the views of the ICGP. What does the College of General Practitioners think about the proposals to decriminalise drugs? So again, he's just trying to fucking pass this off. He's kicking the can over to another group, trying to get them and to give their expressions, maybe to support his concerns, his tiptoeing around this. But again, he's just trying to pass the buck to somebody else to answer the question for him, really, as he hasn't got a iota, really. He's just got his prohibitionist rhetoric, stuff that he knows about, stuff that he's educated in talking about, but not educated actually about. He can actually talk about prohibition and why we keep prohibition in place, but he doesn't actually know about prohibition and what it's doing, the outcomes of it. So he's quoted here in saying, is there a certain amount of the drug that you can smoke or take under this plan? We haven't heard much detail. This is a sensitive issue. It's an important issue. He goes on there about regulating of vapes and stuff like that, and he says it sounds counterintuitive to me that there would be a mixed message sent in relation to cannabis, because I do think there are real health dangers in relation to cannabis. Again, nobody's saying there's no health dangers. What we're saying is that there's a lot more danger because of prohibition. God, man, do these guys actually listen at all? What are they doing? Like, what are they actually up there doing when they're getting paid so much money to be up there? Like, these guys getting paid to be in government while they're out there now, election airing. Like, I'd wonder, are they still taking a full weekly wage for being a TD right now while they're out campaigning? I do believe they are. As I pointed out there only a couple of weeks ago, the fact that Colin Burke was out campaigning for an election that hadn't even been called yet. And he's the Minister with responsibility for drug policy, and he didn't even comment on the recommendations. God, man. Oh, it drives me mad. We reach for the ball. But yeah. It goes on to say there that people who have an addiction in this country, whatever the addiction, people deserve to be treated with absolute compassion and a health approach. The comments by Mr Harris are contrary to a recent cross-party Oireachtas report on drug use, which recommended that the government take steps to introduce regulation for certain illicit drugs, particularly cannabis. The report also recommended that the government introduce a health-led approach alongside the criminalisation of the individual in relation to possession of illicit drugs for personal use. Meanwhile, Mr Harris is calling on farmers to not vote for independence, saying that the three-way coalition with the Greens was required due to Fine Gael losing seats to independent TDs in 2020. Like, what a douche, like. He should not be telling voters to not vote for anybody. He should really only be telling people why they should vote for them. I hate this shit throwing, like this fucking smearing that goes on there in government. Like, I prefer, like, in government, if people just focused on why you should be voting for them. And they shouldn't be saying, don't be voting for independence. Like, don't be voting for Sinn Féin. It's just like, vote for us, vote for these parties, vote for these candidates. Like, stop this fucking shit throwing that goes on. And it's pathetic. It's childish, really, is what it is. It really is. It's pathetic to see this from a government, from these adults who are up there, who are supposed to be doing right by the people. And instead, you see the crap that goes on there from them. Jeez, I'll show you a couple of videos there at the moment. Like, it's sickening that what they're up to, what they're doing election time. I'm sorry, just quickly packing up a ball here. The last of the quicks here now that I've grinded up. Oh yes, nice keefy end to that stash. But yeah, he was saying that at the IFA members, Fine Gael's, Martin Heaton's reiteration of Mr. Harris's comments. So that's a blow to independence, but I hope the farmers see through that fucking shit that they're saying, and continue to vote for change, which Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael are not going to bring. The reason the two main parties didn't have enough numbers was because of the number of independents that were elected, the length and breadth of the country. Mr. Hayden referred to the election of independence Ireland MEP Ciarán Maluli to Europe, saying that he ended up joining the same group as Fianna Fáil. But really, what should have happened there, right? If Fianna Fáil and Fine Gael didn't want to join a coalition with the Green Party, then they should have recalled the election. They should have said, hey, look, we can't actually reach a majority government, and we should have had another general election back then. That would have gave the Green Party an opportunity to not turn their backs on the cannabis consuming community also, because when the conversation was being had, they shouldn't have took that off the table. They should have made it a deal breaker. Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael were in a position, they were desperate to get into power, and desperate enough where they were willing to get into bed with the Green Party. They'd lost out to the independents, and what was wrong back then is Fianna Fáil, Fine Gael were worried. They were worried that if they went back to the electorate, what happens if they lost more seats to independents? Do you know? They were worried. They really were worried that the electorate had enough of them and their bullshit, and they were going to lose more, so they were willing to do what they done with the Greens back then. And here we are now, election time, and look what they're doing again. You can't believe a word these people say. You really can't. You can't trust them. He referred to Mr. Hayden referred to the election of our oh yeah, no, we finished that there actually. That's all done. So yeah, as I say, we can't trust these politicians, especially when it comes to election time. You see how they flip-flop on things so easily. They've no shame in doing so either. Keep the comments coming in there in the hot box. Anyway, guys, we're going to wrap this up there shortly. We're going to have a quicker show there this evening. What do we have there actually for yourselves? Yeah, that's actually covering it pretty much from the election space. I did have one more article I wanted. Oh, no, it wasn't an article. It was a post. Yes, a post. Yeah, so we'll get to that there in a second. And it's a positive post. It's something positive in a way to end with. Something nice. It's just highlighting what's hopefully going to be coming our way very soon here in Ireland. So we'll offer up this next ball that our dreams become a reality. You know, just thinking there as I was hitting that as well, you know, I'm running in an election here to be a TD in the country, and here I am consuming cannabis, something that's been stigmatised an awful lot. And it got me thinking, you know, anybody who's to maybe use that against me, oh, look at you, you're on there consuming drugs and whatever, why should people elect you or something? But really what I'm doing here is I'm highlighting the fact that a lot of the information around cannabis consumption, it's incorrect, it's very stigmatising. They could probably go to many of my shows, any of my shows really in the past. Many of them are almost like fucking 3 hours long. And they could go to the very end of the show where I'm after consuming most of the cannabis. And I've been, most of those shows in the past were done at 4:20. So I probably wouldn't have consumed as much as what I have when I came out here at 9:20. But I still retain coherency from like beginning to end. My consumption of cannabis, like, well, it might get me more higher depending on what strain it might be. It might get me more stoned. I retain coherency, you know. I might make little mistakes or whatever. I might get a little bit tongue-tied, but I do that normally anyway. Like, I'm not a professional talker by any means. I've definitely got a little bit better at this over the years. But there's definitely been times where, yeah, I've not being professional. Let's just say that. But coherency, I've definitely retained coherency. Cannabis it doesn't really for people like myself who've got a high tolerance to it. It just goes to show the difference of effects out there for different consumers. Because I could probably bring the missus out here, and just from probably sitting out here in the small studio with me, the second hand high would probably be too much for her. But yeah, Miles Chronic asking what are we smoking on? We actually had some quicks. We had some quicks in that there. But right now we actually have a little bit of GMO. It was being mentioned there a little bit earlier in the hot box. So got a little bit of GMO left inside in this, couple of grams, happy days. According to the guards out there, a couple of €100 worth. There's about what 10 grams maybe in this baggie here. Hopefully, if I'm lucky, I haven't smoked too much of it. Nothing worse when you see the bag getting to the end, especially when you don't have any more of that strain and the grower is all out of it. And it doesn't look like there'll be any of it growing for another while by that grower. But yeah, GMO about to go in there now. We were enjoying the Black Velvet a little bit earlier on, and we had the Quicks just before that, as I said. Black Velvet, give a shout out to Clearwater Genetics and Rashers. So that came from Clearwater Genetics. And the Quicks then was Exotic Genetics. And the GMO, I don't know the actual breeder of the GMO, but they came from Niagara's own seed bank apparently. Boom, and a shout out to Bobby for hooking the Irish growers up with that. We'd be lost without you, Bobby. Legend. My dog, we got bigs up, Martin. Just a normal day. Miles friendly saying here that I'm sure it's the Black Velvet heavily purple colour. He was saying sounds delicious. Oh, it is absolutely delicious. Gonna make the effort there now in a couple of minutes to get a proper photo of it up on screen. Alex, what's happening, my man? Over there from Brazil. Are we making it all the way to Brazil? Well, the next ball goes out to our Brazilian brothers. What's it in Brazil? Is it Spanish? Or Brazilian? Is Brazilian not the same as Spanish? Jesus, forgive my ignorance. Because I was about to say hola. uh, I will indeed, Miles Chronic. I will indeed. We got a bowl packed up there now of the GMO anyway. So, happy days. Oh, there we go. Hey, put that behind me. Bobby, my man, what is happening? You're a legend, sir. So, Chromeview, here we go. We have a look up here at this. So this is the next one I wanted to bring to your attention. This is a post that was over there on the Build a Soil Growers group. So this is over on Facebook. This is just one of the many cannabis groups that I'm a member of. But it just came across my feed there earlier, and it was a post put up by this lady, Olivia. She says my birthday is tomorrow, and her husband surprised her with her favourite strain. My question is... this, if I wanted to grow something as close to this as possible, what should I buy? We're new to growing still, but this stuff is my jam. So again, this lady is over there in a place where it's legal to grow cannabis, legal to do so, because there's many people out there right now across Ireland who would never dream or dare of joining a group which indicates that they grow cannabis on Facebook. Facebook probably isn't the most securest of places for growers to be kind of communicating to, especially within Ireland anyway. Facebook would be very quick to hand over information to the Gardaí if they were to get wind of the fact that there was such a group. So yeah, that's just one thing I wanted to point out, that look, over in a place where it's legal, people can actually share these things. But then the other thing, it's a birthday present. Wouldn't you love, or if your loved one enjoys cannabis too, love to be able to get and give cannabis as a gift to those who enjoy it? Especially when you know a person's particular taste, flavor, taste, preference to flavors. Oops. Boom. So we go click into this here. This is electric peanut butter cookies. And what I love about this photo here is, or this label, it's terpene profile. So what you see here on this, and now terpenes aren't everything when it comes to the flavors within cannabis. We talked about this in the past, but it certainly gives you a good indication as to what you can expect. So here at the top we see limonene. So that's kind of giving you that lemon hit. But then underneath you have a linalool. You got B caraphyllene, pinene, alpha pinene, beta pinene. You have osamine and alpha terpinolene. Now, a fun fact there for you, beta caraphyllene is actually one of the more common terpenes found in cannabis, and it's commonly the compound that's used to train drug dogs. So there you go, bit of useless information for you. Drug dogs are commonly trained to find cannabis by using balls that are after being dipped with some of this terpene, and that's what's used then to find the cannabis apparently. But yeah, that's something that I hope that we're going to see here in Ireland in the not too distant future, where you're able to go into a store and buy the strain of cannabis, and if it's for yourself, happy days. But if it's for a loved one, if it's for a friend, family member, that you might know their particular taste, flavour, what the primary terpene might be in something that they might like, and be able to buy it from. Be able to be indicated as to the THC content of that also, because you know that family member might not have as high tolerance as others out there. So you might want to be getting them something on the lighter side. So that's amazing. And then the quality of the bud here, as you can see in this photo, it's fucking looks like some nice fire, and that's actually what it says there in the tag too. Some nice fire. So there we go. That's just something that we hope we will see here in Ireland in a not too distant future. The opportunity for people to be able to come out from the closet, to be able to interact on groups like this, to be able to share, you know, the fact that their partner got them some of their favorite cannabis strain, and to be able to ask the question, you know, where will I get seeds that will be able to grow some nice cannabis that will most closely reflect this strain. Please God, you know, as I said, there's a great community of people over there on Telegram at the moment, and it's only continuing to grow. We have the public group, the link is in the description, and then we have a more private group also after being created, where people who have been verified by meeting other members within the public group can be invited into that other more private verified group. It's that more private verified group that a lot more sharing of the growing goes on, but there's also a lot of sharing that goes on within the public group too. So if you're living out there in the sticks, out in the coast, living on a cliff somewhere on the edge of Ireland, and you can't meet another one of the growers, another one of the members to get verified, then be able to share away there anyway still. So do hit that link in the description. It should be there, and join the group. Help the community grow, meet some amazing people that you'll be interacting with up there on the Hotbox too. I'm actually quickly going to hit the group up there with a photo, so that anybody in the group, forgive me, I'm just quickly going to put this photo in there. Boom, there we go. That's done. And what I can do here now is I can quickly open up the Telegram and I can show off that Black Velvet. So there we go. Just open that in a new tab, boom, so you don't see any of the other stuff in the back. Some really nice bud here in the photo. Get it up closer. Oh yeah. So you can see in this, like, there's only small specks of green on that photo. Like, hopefully this does justice what you're seeing out there to what I see here when it's actually in my hand before it goes into the grinder. But absolutely amazing. Really impressed by the quality of what was grown there by that grower. Lovely deep purple color to it. But the effects then, like, it's a really medicating strain. It's really gets you relaxed. Really helps unwind. It's definitely an evening strain. Would I smoke it throughout the day? Not as much as I would in the evening, that's for sure. Wouldn't be having as many bowls in a row. But if you're a person suffering with chronic pain or something, this is definitely a strain I would probably recommend. Maybe not as much as the GMO. There's many out there who've got the GMO. Don't have any photos of that to share there right now, but it's really come recommended by others out there who've enjoyed it, especially for pain and epilepsy. Shout out to Kyle. So the next ball there going out to our Brazilian brother there who joined into the chat there a little bit ago. Hopefully you're still out there, Alex. Nice one there for the guys and girls, highlighting the fact that Portuguese is in Brazil. It was close enough. Close enough. Ah, yeah, that GMO is lovely. Again, it's a couple of like it's a week or two now in the jar, and that earthiness is coming through. You know, that forest floor vibe is coming through. It's not as distinct as the last one. The last one, it was unmistakable that there was a forest floor vibe off it, but yeah, it's definitely there. Friendly says that quickie is stunning. You'd love the quickie, all right, wouldn't you? But there you go. Like this is something that's been growing in Cork as well. You know that's the potential that's out there for anybody who's buying cannabis off the black market. You know, is what you're potentially missing out on. So do consider growing your own if you're not already doing so. And look, as I've kind of gone on this long, let's quickly get over there. Where do I have those photos? They're up in my Gmail. I'll just show you a couple of more photos up here that I have on my Gmail. Yeah, let's do them. There we go. We're in my Gmail here. So this is just an idea of what people could be doing. You know how you could be growing. So this photo here shows like if you were limited space, the potential of what you could produce in a very limited space. This is a plant that's after being grown for, I believe it was 7 weeks that it took to get this plant to this stage. And what this person has done, they've taken a single plant, they've done what is known as topping it here in the center, which causes the branches on the side to stretch out more. And what they've done then is they've topped those, causing more branches to stretch out more. And what they'll end up with is a canopy with many more tops. So if they let this plant grow naturally without cutting that initial top in the center, it would have had a single top dominant cola. But what they're going to end up with now, they're going to have potentially, I believe what they're aiming for here is 32 dominant tops on it. So an amazing end result is going to be achieved. This is where it's at now. This is the latest update from that grower. This again coming from that Build the Soil group earlier. And you can kind of see how it's shaping out. So it's got a really nice structure going on. But this photo was shared by another grower on there, and this is just the end result of something very similar being done. So if you're limited in space, if you've only got a small little tent, yeah, mainlining. There you go, Miles Chronic. That's the technical term for it. Mainlining. That's what you would have seen there in that earlier photo, and this is the end result of such an effort. I do look forward to seeing the end result of this particular one. Does look nice. I believe he said it's Acapulco Gold, the particular strain. So it'll be an interesting one to see the end of anyway. So there you go. That's just a couple of photos there that highlight that you don't need a massive space if you've only got a small grow space. Just think about how little that's actually going to take up. That's probably only in a 90 by 90 centimeters by 90 centimeters. And realistically, if you aren't allowing the plant to stretch at all, you wouldn't even need a very high one either. You could probably grow that in a tent that's under a 2 meter, under a meter and a half high. even potentially a meter, a closet, a cupboard. Just, hint, hint. But there you go. Anyway, that's just a couple of photos there. Hopefully, we can encourage a couple of more people maybe to end the reliance on the black market, move over to growing their own, join the Telegram group, grow that community of growers that's on there already. You're all legends. Love you all. The community that's there, it's priceless. They're absolutely legends, all of them. Sometimes they're in the Telegram group. It'd be great just catching up, seeing what's going on in the group, because questions being asked, information being shared, but more important than that, like, it's just support, love there. Even the other day, there was a bit, like, obviously elections and stuff going on. There was a bit of a political division kind of came up between two members of the group, and it just kind of ended in, well, look, actually, we're here for one particular thing, cannabis. Let's not let our differences of opinion on this particular issue divide us, because if we were to actually meet up face to face, we'd probably sit down, drink tea, smoke a doob, and have a great time. So just that ability to be able to kind of see beyond our differences and to find common ground, it's great. So as I said, it's a great community, great people. So do hit the link down in the description and join. We packed up one more bowl there before we start signing off. Didn't miss anything else, did I? No. We'll certainly get in a Telegram conversation going next week. I think we'll get it going on the verified group. I'll have a chat with them over there in the verified group around it. Might share a couple of stories into the verified group beforehand, get thoughts and opinions then live during the stream. No pressure to anybody to be able to jump on. We'll open up the call and let people come and go as they please. Hopefully we don't get any, what was that, Mexican, Portuguese, French people person. John Finnegan. What was his name again? Jeez, that was a funny one though. Good crack. But yeah, we'll certainly look at doing that anyway, because kind of tired of hearing myself speak on here all the time. I want to hear from you out there. It's great reading your comments in the hot box here, but I'd love to get a couple of you on here to have a chat. Who's that? MAFG Trump, you are enslaved, imprisoned in your own mind. Stephen says the picture of the bud in the background really works when you're hitting the bong. Looks gorgeous. Will we switch back over to that, will we? We get back over there and we finish up here, so we'll leave that photo there for saying our goodbyes and all of that. But yeah, mainlining being highlighted there by B Moon as well. So guys, grow your own. Micro grows are amazing. Micro grows, there's a keyword for you as well if you're out there, if you're considering growing, if you got limited space, micro grows. Give a shout out as well to a good supporter of the cause here in Cork, down there in Carricktool. So Grow Nation. So do get online, check out Grow Nation's store as well. It's a great grow shop. It's got everything you need, including like soil, pots, lights, tents, seeds, the whole lot. Seeds are only for souvenir use though. You can't grow them. So don't buy them to grow them. But everything you need is there. And he's a great guy. You can order online as well from the store. But if you're in Cork, he'd love for you to call in and see him in person. So that's the Grow Nation down there in Carricktool. That being said, I'm going to blaze up the next bowl there for we'll hope that the higher powers will help more people to grow their own. Get the courage to grow their own. I think about her actually getting the courage to grow their own. Like, some people might have the courage to grow their own, but not be in a position to. I'm thinking of a friend of mine. He got stopped by the cops again the other day, And the cops brought up the fact that like he got caught with some cannabis before and what have you, and it's probably a reason why they stopped him. Or and I've big time cotton mouth, so smells chronic. But they pulled him in, and stuff came up in their NPR, their pulse system, whatever it is. He was in the car with his wife, with his kid, and they were on the way to a dentist appointment. Because of them stopping and searching the car, they missed they were late for the dentist appointment. But the child in the back of the car, the cops were searching the car with the child in the back of the car. It was such a negative experience for the child. They found absolutely nothing in the car afterwards, despite their efforts. But all they did, they fucking, give a bad taste in the mouth for the child with the cops. That child's not going to actually have a good view of guards in future. They're going to be afraid of them, thinking, hey, you stopped my dad, you took everything out of the car, you were hassling them. My mammy was really pissed off then, because afterwards, that's what happened. They got back into the car. The mammy was really pissed off, but not at the guards, really at the buddy, kind of saying, "Hey, this is why you shouldn't be doing this. Look at the hassle it's causing," and blah blah. Because that buddy used to be actually grown before. His house actually got raided, but luckily enough, he didn't have anything actually grown in the house at that time. So they got nothing. He had his tent up and the whole lot. Everything was there, but he had no plants, nothing there growing. So the cops couldn't do nothing. They had to leave empty-handed. But still, the hassle of it was there, and the foot was put down by the missus. You're never again growing in this house. So I can totally understand that too. So I do hope laws change so people like that, they don't have to have this divide between them and their partner because of the fear of repercussions from the law. So yeah, I just had to get that one out there as well, I suppose. But with that being said, everybody's saying good night out there, so I won't waffle on anymore. We've hit that bowl of GMO there. We're going to finish up the tea, and we're going to go inside and see if the missus is still up. She's probably not. She's probably going to kill me. Was on a promise tonight, but I might have broke that one. The things I do for the community, huh? No doubt the comment will come in from her there if she is still awake. Mark Anthony says, thanks Martin and fair play for all the campaign, and hopefully be up in the real capital next week and lend a hand to you get elected. Stay well and blessed. Absolutely legend. Nice one for that, Mark. I do hope that we do get to meet up next week, and if you do have some time to lend to the campaign, that would be amazing too. Friendly Grower, good night, my man. Miles Chronic, good night. Mad Dog says, Martin, the first person I'm hitting up if I get raided. Do, and that goes to anybody else out there, guys. If anybody out there is after having a negative experience with the cops, if you want to share your story on here personally, do hit me up on that Telegram. If you join that Telegram group, through that you'll be able to reach me directly. And we can arrange to have you on the show to share your experience, to have a conversation about it, because I would like to hear people's experiences out there. That could be a great addition to the show, so you don't have to listen to me rambling for so long. So if people want to share their stories, experiences on here in future, do get in touch. Telegram's probably the best place to do that, and let's sort of make some arrangements. Good night, Miles Chronic. I do hope that anybody going forward doesn't have any negative experiences and won't have any stories to share. But if you've old ones, do share them. But going forward, if anybody's been raided recently or in the future, do let me know if you want to get public about it. If you want to start a campaign, I'm your guy. Hashtag free Joe. Joe got out with a month left, I believe, on his sentence or something like that. He was saying 2 months left, and they let him out a bit early. So happy days. Joe's a free man. That right, Joe? Teresa, keep her lip, my lady. Jarla, what's happening, Jarla? Newest addition there to the Telegram hotbox. Says, what you have for dinner? Some cottage pie. Oh, it was delicious. Spent a little bit of time making it. Homemade is the only way, to be fair. And the key to a good, nice crisp top, and this is last bit of useless information for you before I go, into the oven and bake it with the egg first. So mix up your egg, get it at the top, whisk, spread it across, fork the top. You have to fork the top with the after you put the egg on. It's key, and cook that for like 20 minutes, 180. Cheese then afterwards. Turn up that temperature just that little bit just to get that crisp cheese going. Oh, delicious. Like 15 minutes more with the cheese, and oh, good lord. It was just too good to take a photo of it. Barry says, was it made with real cottages? Only the best of cottages. uh, but yeah, I am a waffler. And it's all your fault. Y'all keep bringing me off on these tangents here with your comments in the hot box, but do keep them coming. It's one of my daughter's favorites, and then it's my other daughter's like least favorite dinner. The two young'uns love it as well. B Moon sent to Bobby that he'll eventually get over there, dude. Me too. I do hope I can get over there. I was denied access to the US in the past, but hopefully in the future I can get over there. I'll be saying you probably get here before I'll get to you though, Bobby. What's happening, Richard? Richard's out there as well. Good night, Rich. Mr. Wes, absolute legend out there as well. Good night. Has been a pleasure joining you all this evening, says Mr. Wes. So there we go, guys. Before anybody else gets in another comment, it's going to bring me down a tangent, seeing me here for another 20 minutes. Keep her lit, guys. Stay blazed. So good night and God bless. Shalanta. Bobby says, yeah, see you in a couple of months. Indeed you will. Shalanta, everybody. And look, it's almost Christmas, so stay blazed. Right, I'm really gone this time. Bye.